Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having an awesome day today. For this week's video, we're going to compare these two amazing Ibanez guitars. First up, we've got the RG. Now this is the prototypical ultimate super strat guitar. Introduced in 1987 as part of the Roadstar guitar series, and then in 1992 simply rebranded as the RG, Roadstar guitar. And it's been known as the RG ever since. Now this RG is set up with the classic humbucker, single humbucker in terms of your pickups, as well as a floating bridge, which means you can bend it up and down, which is pretty cool, and a locking nut. So that system keeps your strings in tune, and you can just crank your strings way up or way down and it'll keep everything working as it should. Now in terms of the rest of the guitar's construction, you've got yourself a quilted maple top, a basswood body, a 5-piece maple neck, and of course a rosewood fingerboard. So as I mentioned, this is the classic layout of an RG, but thankfully Ibanez is quite prolific in terms of the model variants they put out, which is pretty cool because as a consumer you get a ton of different options. So if you like the RG body style but wanted a fixed bridge, or you didn't want the locking nut, or if you wanted just two humbuckers instead of the humbucker, single humbucker, all those model variants are available, which is pretty awesome. All right, now let's jump to the S series. So the S series, along with the RG and the Gem, was also introduced in 1987. So those three guitars are the longest serving solid body guitars in the Ibanez catalog. Now this particular model is outfitted with two humbuckers, a fixed bridge, a 5-way switch. We've got a quilted top again, but this time the body is mahogany, and again, a 5-piece maple neck with a rosewood fingerboard. Now the S series, like the RG, can be found in a bunch of different layouts, including the SA series, which is a humbucker single-single. So if you really love the playability and thin necks of an Ibanez, but want kind of like a bluesier guitar, that's a cool option as well. So let's briefly talk about how these guitars are similar. Well, first of all, they have 24 jumbo frets, they have maple necks with rosewood fingerboards, they have quilted maple tops and 5-way switches, and both feature DiMarzio pickups. All right, now let's go through some of the main differences. On this version of the S series, we've got locking tuners on the back and a regular nut. The RG, of course, has the locking nut and therefore just regular tuning machines on the back. This version of the RG has the trem system, but as I mentioned, you could get a fixed bridge on this if you wanted to. And this version of the S series has the fixed bridge, but of course you could add the trem. So the options are always great, but the main difference that will always be the same is the thinness of the S series. This is incredibly ergonomic and just, razor thin. Feels great to play on. The RG is a little bit thicker, still has some nice contours on the back, and of course for your strumming arm. So it's still very, very ergonomic, but in terms of playability, the S series, for me personally, takes the cake. It's super comfortable to play on. All right, you guys, now let's jump straight into our playing comparison. As per usual, we're gonna use the Mesa Boogie Blue Angel amp mic'd up with a Sennheiser E906 mic. We're gonna start in the neck position and we're gonna do a simple lead line. For some of that classic Ibanez thick lead tone, we're gonna be using the Lawrence Petros Design 68 drive. Let's take a listen. All right, now let's jump to the bridge position for heavy riff. We are going to be hitting the amp with the Wampler triple rec. Let's check it out. All right, for test number 3, we're going to stay in the bridge position, and this time we're going to do a slow lead line. We're going to test the sustain between the fixed bridge and the trem bridge. Overdrive will be courtesy of the Honeymoon 2. All right, after the first 3 tests, I think we can say a couple things with certainty. First of all, the fixed bridge definitely has more sustain. Those bends just ring out, whereas on the trem bridge, they kind of die out a little bit quicker. And of course, the attacks are different. So those are the 2 main things. The guitars sound very, very similar, but the attack is slightly different between the fixed bridge and the trem bridge, and the sustain is a little bit different. Okay, so now we're going to throw away the overdrive pedals and just play some clean and pristine passages for you guys through each one of the 5 pickup positions. Now that we've got a good idea of what these 2 guitars sound soloed, let's throw them in a mix and see how they sit with other instruments. Each guitar will have 1 minute to solo. Let's check it out. So some final thoughts on these two awesome Ibanez guitars. I think I do favor the S series personally in terms of, the visual design. The RG looks very, very purpose-built for metal, and it says, I want to rip your head off and feast on your entrails. And this one says, yeah, that's cool, or we could just play some blues or maybe a little prog rock or something. It just doesn't seem visually as genre specific, even though they sound quite similar. So that would be my, my main takeaway. Also, the thinness and the ergonomics are a little bit better on the S series, which I think, is awesome. But both of these guitars are my personal instruments, and they do serve different purposes. So that's it, you guys. That's the comparison. I know a lot of you guys were waiting for this one for a while, so I apologize that it took me so long to get to it, but I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below which one you preferred, the RG or the S series. The rest of my information will be on the screen right now. Definitely sub to the channel if you haven't done so far. Hit up the tab store, check out my brand new acoustic album linked in the video description below. And other than that, have an awesome week, you guys. We'll see you next time with a new video.